Hello folks, and welcome to another video. Now, as you can see, I have got Assetto Corsa EVO running again after I had a minor problem after release last week. It was working fine for a few hours, and then suddenly, whenever I loaded up the game, all I would get was an empty garage, and it would just never get to any menus. Like most of you would do in my position, as I was scouring the Assetto Corsa Discord channel, I was scouring the Steam discussion forums and the Facebook groups, trying to find a solution. Now, you may know this already, but the solution was to delete the folder that is in your My Documents, and it's a folder that's just called ACE, so it looks like a folder called ACE, obviously for Assetto Corsa EVO. So if you delete that folder, the game booted up fine. The only downside was that I had to redo all the mappings for my wheel and pedals, and I had to redo all my video settings. No great problem for me. That only took about 10 minutes or so, and then I was up and running again. So, once I was up and running again, I decided to embark on some serious testing over the weekend, and I decided to just concentrate on one track only, deciding it to be Bathurst because it's one of my favourite tracks. Try and keep the track constant, but I was trying lots of different cars and lots of different graphic settings, just trying to get a nice balance between graphic fidelity and performance. I have now tried all the cars and have to say I actually prefer driving and the feel of the road cars compared to the kind of race cars they've got in there like the Porsche and the Mercedes. It's always been a preference for me. I love driving the road cars in the original Assetto Corsa and in the likes of M.2. Cars like this little Honda are absolutely fantastic fun for me to drive. I also particularly like the Cosworth Escort. So in this video I have actually two replays of this race. The first one from this driver's view, I'm going to talk about the graphics, force feedback, sound and the physics. And then I'm going to show a TV replay of the race. I'm going to have a little inset video, picture-in-picture from the cockpit as well. And in the replay, I'll chat about replays, AI, skill levels, whether I think the content is good for the money at the moment, and just chat a bit more about the actual race that I'm having here. So let's start with the graphics. Now, for the first 24 hours or so, putting aside the problem that I had with firing the game up, I found the graphics to be absolutely brilliant when they were working and very frustrating at the same time. As you've probably seen on other videos and reports, there is very little consistency here. I can get the game running at 80, 90 FPS the first time I boot it up, and I can have that frame rate running for 2 or 3 races, albeit with minor little hiccups, minor little stutters now and again. But if I let the game run for too long and have too many races, the frames per second starts coming down drastically. There must be some sort of memory leak going on, because if I quit out of the game and then go back in, it's back up to about 80 or 90 frames per second. The footage you're seeing here is pretty much all the details at medium. I'll do a separate video showing my exact video details and what I have in the NVIDIA driver as well. It can look absolutely beautiful. My benchmark is still Gran Turismo 7 for how good a racing simulator can look. Putting aside the physics and force feedback, just visuals only, Gran Turismo 7 is the top of the pile for me. Does this have the potential to get there? Absolutely. But we need some more optimization, we need a new NVIDIA driver. There's a little bit to go. Again, this is early access, folks. We're not really grumbling about that, but it is fairly inconsistent at the moment. Force feedback and physics. Well, I absolutely love the force feedback in this. Straight out of the box at the default settings, I really love the feeling of the car. The only change I have made, and I don't know why it was set like this, but the force feedback level or gain in the actual ACE settings was set at about 90%. Maybe it was 95, I can't quite remember. So I just put it up to 100, and that just sealed the deal for me. I'm able to feel the weight of the car, I'm able to place the car exactly where I want. I can feel the car braking away from me, either at the back end or the front end washing out, like coming down off the hill here at Panorama. And I'm able to get out of slides and drifts fairly easily, so I think the force feedback and physics are definitely better than Assetto Corsa Original and Competizione. I was watching one of James Baldwin's videos last night on YouTube where he was doing a race in ACE, and he was commenting that it's much better over the rumble strips, realistic manner, and unlike in ACC where it could launch you into the air, the cars actually behave how they should over rumble strips. They can go over them, they will soak them up. Now he's a real competitive driver, I'm going to take his word for this, but it certainly feels better to me. It feels nice going over the rumble strips, it won't throw you off, and there's a very nice feeling from the rumble strips as well. Is there some way to go? Could it be improved, the force feedback? No doubt, and no doubt that Kunos will be working away on that, but out of the box, I think it is a good 8 out of 10. Sounds in the game I am also very impressed with, certainly from within the car. Sometimes on the replays they don't sound quite as nice, a little bit of work still to do there, but what I particularly like is the way that the sound changes depending on what part of track you're on and what the environment and buildings are like. Let me try and give you an example of exactly what I mean by that. So going up the start-finish straight here, where there's sound bouncing off the sides of the buildings, it changes the note of the car. And then once you come round to go on to the first long straight here at Bathurst, which is a more open area, there's not so much things for the sound to bounce off, so you can hear the note changed again. To me, this really adds to the immersion factor. I've decided to record this particular view without any HUD elements for you, just to try and give as much immersion as possible. I do think the HUD's pretty good at the moment, but I wish they would introduce some sort of way that you can delete or add HUD elements. You can resize them and you can move them around nice and easily, and the game would remember. Hopefully they will introduce that into a patch very soon. There's some HUD elements that repeat information which I don't really need to use, and it can look a little bit cluttered from the driving view. You can see here that I'm in the lead now. The mirrors are showing no cars behind me, but I can tell you that second in this race is right behind me at the moment, but I just could not get a good frames per second if I moved the mirror setting up even more than it is on just now. So you see the cars when they're very close, but as soon as they get a good sort of 20-30 feet away, then they disappear from the mirrors at the moment. Not very useful when you are being hounded in the last lap of a race. So I'd be very interested to hear all your thoughts on Assetto Corsa EVO so far. I try and read all the comments, so do leave me a comment at the bottom of this video. I'll read them and I will reply to them. But overall, I am very happy when it is working and I can get a good balance in the graphics and the performance. What I'm going to do straight after this is put the full TV replay on, and I'll chat a little bit more about other aspects of the game and the actual race that I had here. So here we are, folks. This is the TV replay with a little picture-in-picture of the cockpit view, and let's just chat about the actual replay feature. The replay feature is fantastic at the moment, but very, very limited. I really hope that they give us some more views and control in the next patch or two. One thing I really do like about the replays is that they don't show the same camera angles lap after lap. They change, and I'm not quite sure whether it's depending on where your car is on the track or where you are in relation to other cars, if you're out on your own or if you're in a pack, but the TV camera angles change on each lap, and if you don't believe me, just watch this video and note where the cars are going up a certain section or it's down a certain section, and then watch it again on the next lap, and you will see that the angles of the replay are slightly different, so they're dynamic, which I really, really like. So starting this race, I started at the back, and I think I had the skill level on about 95%. I've found that the skill level has been very inconsistent between cars. To give you an example, I had the same skill level, 95%, for a race around Bathurst again against 6 GT86s. Set at that level with these cars, I was first by the end of the first lap, so it was far, far too easy. I came from last to first. If I tried the same with the Porsches, it was completely different. I found it very hard to get past the Porsches at skill level 95, so there's definitely an inconsistency there. I've also seen some very weird things happen on the first lap, sometimes even at the first corner. I do find that they settle down a little bit after the first lap. So you can see in this race that I've managed to get past one person after the first lap and coming up to the end of that. But I am very easily able to outbrake this silver car in front of me at the corner at the end of this straight here. There we go. He's still with me, but he kind of gave up the place a little bit easy. I do find that you can almost bully the cars. If you get alongside them, they kind of jump out the way a little bit. So there needs to be a bit more aggression in the cars there, or just not giving up places quite so easily. The video that I watched of James Baldwin's last night, where he had, I don't know how many cars, about 30 or 40 cars racing at Bathurst, all the same cars, they're Mercedes, and there was just a massive pile-up at the first corner. It was total carnage, so the AI has definitely got a bit of work to be done. So there we are, the end of lap 1, and we are up to the middle. We've got 3 cars behind us, and we've got 3 cars in front of us. we have a little bit of air behind us and a little bit of air in front of us, so we've got to try and get onto the tail coat of this red car in front of us. I absolutely love this section coming up the hill, and I think I'm quite fast through here, so it's no surprise to me that we're soon on the tail of these two cars here. Isn't that a lovely replay view? Look at that. So let's have a little chat about the content that we're getting in this first release and the price. So I paid about £26 here in the UK, and looking at the content after I've had a good weekend of playing through all the cars, I've not tried all the tracks yet, I think we are getting a very good deal. Eventually, once this game is properly released, it's definitely going to sell for way more than £26. I would imagine it will be anywhere from $39.99 up to $49.99, who knows, even maybe a wee bit more. So you're getting a bargain. But the other thing to remember, and those of you who joined me in the original Project Cars journey, Project Cars 1, it was a kind of early access title. In fact, I think they were probably the first software that I remember doing this, where you could buy into the development cycle for a ridiculously cheap price at the time, and every Friday they would release a build. And I remember the excitement. It was usually about noon or 1 PM time here in the UK that they would release that week's build. But you would have seen some announcements on the forums during the week about which tracks or cars or which improvements they made. And I really used to look forward, I know others did, to downloading that latest build on a Friday and then having the whole weekend to play it and feedback to the developers through the forums. I really enjoyed the journey of seeing the title taking shape, and I'm kind of looking forward to the same with Assetto Corsa EVO. So we're on to lap 3 of 4 and we're up to second place now, so we've got 2 laps to chase down the leader here. Still a bit of air between him and I, but we're coming up to this uphill section which I really enjoy. That's a lovely replay view as well. Look at the detail in these tyres and the track there, the asphalt and the concrete on the barriers, absolutely brilliant. So this guy is giving me a little bit more of a run for my money, but I know that I'm also quick up through this section, so we're right on his tail now, and I'm just going to bide my time. No hurry really. As I say, the AI is a little bit too easy, so from this point on I could pretty much take him whenever I wanted, but I'm going to delay it just to give you guys some nice graphical action on this replay. So yeah, it's back to the content. I think we're kind of spoilt these days for quality content, and I think for £26 you really cannot complain. Things that I would like to see in the next few patches. I'd like to see fuel having an effect in the cars. At the moment, it doesn't matter whether you put 1 gallon or litre of fuel in or 50 gallons, it has no effect whatsoever. You see the fuel gauge in the car never comes down, and I very much doubt it's having any effect on the actual performance, whether you've got a full tank or a light tank. So it'd be nice if they introduced that as soon as possible. I'd like to see more controls over the replays, especially for people like myself who enjoy creating content for you guys. So hopefully that will appear very soon. So here we are into the last lap, and I think about taking him on the first corner, but I decided the old adage of slow in fast out would work better, So I compromise my entry to maximise my exit. I've got good power coming out here. I'm able to out-drag him along the straight, and then I'll out-brake him at the corner going up the hill. We're kind of nose to nose just now though, but then I managed to out-brake him no problem. And I was listening yesterday to the Chicane podcast. I don't know if you guys listen to this. I'll try and put a link in the description, but I'm a big podcast fan. You can find podcasts for just about every conceivable interest nowadays, and there's a few good sim racing ones out there, but I like the guys at the Chicane. I like their sort of attitude and the way they bounce off each other. And they were discussing Assetto Corsa EVO, and just a bit of late news was coming in that the guys at Simhub have somehow managed to get the telemetry working, albeit in a very rudimentary manner. So I'm going to go and try that after finish this video. That's quite interesting. I've got an old tablet that I use for some Simhub dashes, so it's amazing, just a matter of days after release, and there's the guys at Simhub already on it. Quite incredible. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video with this 4-lap race from a couple of different angles, the driving view and the TV replay. And just to show how things move very quickly with early access, I spent about 3 or 4 hours on this video, and in the time that I started it and laid down some of the audio, I just had a quick look on Discord, and there's been yet another update released by Kunos for Assetto Corsa EVO. So guess what I'm going to do as soon as this video finishes. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you did, leave me a comment, let me know what you think of Assetto Corsa EVO, and I shall catch you in the next video. Cheers for now.